Right now, Munyumba, saying the trends in currency and policy in Zambia, or just the status of the world economy in general, what would one would imagine that it would be obvious for the new governor to work out the task ahead. But the president has laid it out for him. Nevertheless, goes to show how much control there is from the executive, doesn't it? And what would you say about this directive?
Well, I mean, obviously, these are the standard directives of the central bank governor to stabilize the macroeconomic principles and the fundamentals of the country. You just don't want to hear it from the president, unfortunately, and that's how the financial world works. You want to hear an independent central bank governor who's going to run his own mandate. Though, yes, some of the presidents are starting to get involved. We are not some of these bigger economies who have the power to do that. We unfortunately have a different situation where we can't afford to have government interference in central bank matters. Though it may not be seen that it may not be exactly that. The only matter I will bring up is this: when you're in the middle of a negotiation, you might want to try and at least pretend to have an iota of central bank independence, just to try and get through this when you already have a hostile situation in your negotiation process.
So the regime for Mr. Mvunga starts officially. What would your views be if you compare the two regimes, Dr. Kalialia's and the incoming regime?
Now, I have this wonderful luxury of not being able to see things from some rose-tinted political view of Green Party bad and everything good, everything else great. I can also see that there have been failures from the previous regime, which I always am willing to point out. We're not able to see certain trends which needed to be seen, things like the change in things like the rise of cryptocurrency. There's been no understanding of things like that. These are big changes that are going to come and hit the world very soon. China is developing a digital coin. Russia is developing a Petra coin and a digital coin. Barbados has developed a digital coin. But Zambia, for some reason, we just dismissed cryptocurrency immediately. We've dismissed village banking because for some reason, we only want to preserve 18 big banks in this country. And for some odd reason, we cannot get a straight answer as to how much gold is sitting in our reserves right now, or how much has been compiled in our reserves, when even Basel finally allowed central banks to start stockpiling gold. And Minister Monakatwe back then actually said the central bank has started buying gold on Bloomberg. So why on earth are we not getting these answers, and why wasn't this managed better, in a better way? So I have my questions, even about the past regime. I'm not wedded to the idea that because one has a PhD, they're perfect. They're going to have, these are some issues, some major issues that were left behind. Now, I'm going to say this categorically. This is by no means an endorsement of the current governor. I'm going to afford him the decency and the courtesy that I've afforded every other central bank governor in order to be able to step into their role and do what they need to do. But I'm just affording some courtesy. That is by no means a statement of confidence, because this is a tough situation, and some of the economic factors are not pointing to a good situation for Zambia. Just quickly, one other thing, Yoella. I think Rand Merchant came out with a report recently saying that they're only expecting GDP growth in Zambia to return back in 2023, and expecting the other fundamentals to only return later. So the V-shaped recovery 2021 story is already starting to be rewritten out of the Zambia economic story.
Yeah, interesting, Munyumba. I'm sure that's a discussion we can have another day. But I know it has been a slow day today as well. But take us through market activity today, and what are your expectations for tomorrow?
We're still going down the same, as we call it, the Kwacha slide, the kind of version of the electric slide, as we kind of keep going down 1 Ngwe, 2 Ngwe per day. We've got a Kwacha that is trading above the 20-day moving average on the exponential moving average. You've got a MACD that's trading above 0. So for the technical traders, that means the pressure is still upward. And you've got an RSI which has never dropped below 70, which is still showing high momentum of the currency. So with all that, all you're having is minor crossovers in intraday trading, which is holding it at 1 to 2 Ngwe per day, meaning that there's no sign of us stopping, and it's just going to continue sliding and sliding. And it's this consensus trading I keep talking about, where instead of having a quick, rapid trade, we just keep having these 1, 2 long trades. I'm struggling to see how a central bank governor is going to switch this and turn this back, because it's going to be a very difficult move to turn back the consensus minds of traders, especially amongst the banking sector. So I foresee the kwacha going further and further down the line.
Yeah, but Munyumba, don't you think, just quickly, don't you think that the steady position of the kwacha at 20 is somewhat good, because then the business is able to plan for at least 3-4 days ahead, instead of volatility of the kwacha jumping up and down 20 to 18 and back 21?
What you prefer when you're seeing the kwacha is not steady movements down, and you don't want to see volatility. What you prefer is a tight trading band. When it hits a certain point, comes back down, hits a point there, comes up. At least you know the trading range. That's what you want to see, a long, tight trading range, which is like a tube, effectively, where the kwacha just bounces in between it. What you don't want to see is this step ladder effect, where it just keeps going gradually, because you're just basically telling everyone you need to factor in inflation every single day, because that is basically what's going on. So on that perspective, I would prefer a tight trading band, and I would and both of those situations, if anything.
Right, Munyumba, thank you for coming through to S24's Money Watch.
Thank you very much, Ola.